Hi, my name is Chris Teel, and I'm running for Town Council at Large here in Brunswick. First off, I just want to talk to you all and special thanks out to the Maine League of Women Voters and the Curtis Memorial Library for putting together the candidate forum. And unfortunately, that was delayed and canceled because of the tragedy and all what transpired in Lewiston. Absolutely the right decision to make to cancel that forum and what was going on and what happened in Lewiston and the horrific tragedy. I can't imagine what some of the families are going through in that community. So, right decision to cancel, and I want to extend my thanks to Jim Nealon and the folks here in the town to give us, the candidates, an opportunity to make a video, to get to know me a little better, to understand why I'm running for town council in the at-large position, and hopefully answer some of the questions that would have been raised that evening. So here goes. I'm going to try to communicate as best I can. I'm not a big camera guy, but hopefully I can get a message across and give you a little insight into Chris Teel. I've been happily married to my beautiful wife Kelly for about 40 years, and we have 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters. My 2 sons are serving in the Navy, defending our freedom, and very proud of what they're doing. One's in Special Forces, one's in comms and IT, and just doing their amazing work. My 3 daughters in their own right are professionals and adventurous and have their careers. I'm also a grandfather of 2. With the birth of my second grandson, that happened last night, and we're super excited about that. So that's me personally. Been involved in Brunswick. 2 of our 2 youngest children are graduates of Brunswick High School in 2015 and 2017. So I spent a lot of time at the school. They were both active in sports, a sport each season. So we spent a lot of time with the boosters, spent a lot of time on the sidelines, and did not miss a game home and away. So my wife and I very involved with our last 2, while the others are older and off pursuing their careers in different areas within the state or down south. A brief background about qualifications of why should I be running for town council. I've been in the business world for 40 years. I've been in procurement, management, program management, been negotiating contracts, establishing budgets, managing budgets, most particularly putting teams together. Worked at Bath Iron Works for over 30 years with team members from all walks, whether engineering, production, supply community, and working towards a common goal to put the best ships together for our sailors and to go out and defend our freedom. Became very passionate for me with 2 boys in the Navy, building the best ships we can build. Presently, I'm working for Chimbro, a construction company based out of Pittsfield, a Maine-owned company. And again, around ships, working in the Kittery, Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, and developing a shipyard and for our submarine base. So I've been involved in that for 3 years now, building a whole new infrastructure to support our sailors. So that's a little bit of a background of what I've done professionally. Been involved in a lot of different things in those capacities. The last piece of that, I live here in Brunswick. I'm a taxpayer. I have 2 properties. I'm keenly interested in making sure that we are represented and that we have fair taxes and we watch our spending. That's probably a good way to transition into why I'm running. I love Brunswick. I love the history of Brunswick, our heritage, and what we've been doing over the years when we transitioned from not having the Naval Air Station here into a community without that presence, and how are we going to deal with that? We've been in town for 40 years. My wife Kelly is a 4th generation Brunswick gal, graduate of Brunswick High School, 7th generation Mainer. And I've been in Maine for over 40 years. This is my home. This is where my children are. Brunswick's the community that we live in, and that's where my grandson, one of my grandsons is, and I have passion for our town. But I can't stand by any longer and watch our leadership within the town. Making decisions, I think my trigger, no, I know my trigger was the tax assessment. watching what the town is doing year by year. And I think a lot of that is timing. Tax increases for a school or a fire station or a police station. I fully support our firefighters and our policemen. Understand that and support them 100%. It seems over the years there was a timing where things were difficult and we said, let's build a school or let's transition out of a fire station. And that drove our taxes up. My trigger to jump in and do this, because a lot of people have said, why do you want to do that? It was the assessment on top of 7.5% increase. And a lot of us got together, and I want to thank you out in the community for 300 or so people who came over a couple evenings for the town council meeting. I call it a little modern day tax revolt, where we said no. And everybody stood up. There are 18 of us who stood up that night and said no. And I think we all recall the discussion of Jim Coffin when he got up and talked through the property that he owns and what the assessment did to his property. And we had fellas stand up who own a mobile home and what it did to their assessment. Personally, it drove mine up over 60% for that year. So we were all affected, but we all stood together as a community and sent a very clear and spirited message to the town council, to the town manager, and we've successfully averted that, and it's been delayed indefinitely, which is a great victory for us all. I want to represent all the taxpayers. It seems at times, folks from the council, we're very unbalanced. I jokingly say it's an 8-1, 7-2 vote all day long. And I think there's a large community out here in Brunswick that's not being represented, because I've walked around, I've talked to a lot of people, and the consensus, the consistent thought is, it doesn't do any good if I go speak to the town because they're going to do whatever they want. Now, is that because of an agenda-driven concept? Is that because what they believe themselves is the right thing to do without regard to the constituents? Not quite sure. That's what I want to figure out. But what I've been seeing over the years is not representing the entire town. I'm a big fan of servant leadership. I believe I'd be in a position to serve the community and serve the residents, not serve my interest, an agenda, or something coming from Augusta or Washington, D.C. I'm not an agenda guy. I want to pursue what's best for the town, what's best for the residents. Because without us as taxpayers, the town has no money. It's not for us as a town council to freely spend the tax dollars on what we think is right. It's what is right for the town. Will it hurt the town? Will it hurt us? Just like my personal finances. I need to make decisions every day. Is it going to hurt my family or help my family? The other area is I want to honor our seniors and veterans first. What does that mean? That means there's a lot of folks in town who don't have housing. There's a lot of folks in town that are struggling. Yet we have some new Mainers, asylum seekers, illegals. Not sure what you want to call the people that are coming into the town. But I've had 3 stories. 3 people approach me and say, I can't get housing because there's other housing reserved. And that hurts. That hurts. I think it's an oxymoron to have a veteran who's homeless after what they've done for us. So I want to put our Mainers and our veterans first. We need to make sure that they're being treated fairly and correctly. I want to be the voice of common sense. I believe looking at issues, asking some hard questions, challenging the norm, looking at is it agenda-driven, and make the right choice. Make a common sense choice. Make a common sense decision. And the last point, we need to be accountable. We need to be transparent to the town. We're here to serve, and I think that's been lost. Where some of the town council members, past and present, may not be so approachable. It's hard to see someone who isn't listening to the constituents, who is not representing what the town and their district or their neighborhood would like to have done. I'm going to change that. I want to serve, and Servant leadership is what I'm all about. So in my view, as a role of town councilor, what does that look like? I need to be here and available, approachable, and accountable. You all are going to vote and make an important decision to vote on Tuesday, November 7th, and I hope you vote for me. I want to reduce taxes, take a hard look at our taxes, our school budget, and our town budget. 70% or more is going to the schools. So out of a $92 million annual budget, there's $68, $72 million that's going to the schools. I think we really need to take a look at that. Look at some opportunities. What are some common things that can be shared between the town? I think that the school has been unaccountable and has been very available to get what they want, and we, the taxpayer, pay for it. The town council approves it. The voters approve it because it's for the children. I think we need to take a serious look at the budget and what it's being spent on. I'm all for the children, 100%. But I think we have some opportunities to reduce that budget, especially in this difficult economy and what's going on and how people are being challenged every day to make decisions for fuel, for food, for travel, for expenses, for clothing. Everything's gone up. How nice would it be to get a tax refund? Or how nice would it be next year that we have a tax reduction? I don't recall in my 40 some odd years being here and paying taxes, a tax reduction. So that would be a great opportunity. I want to look at policy and regulation and budget line items. Will it hurt us or will it help us? What is the right thing to do? If it hurts us as a town and a taxpayer, it's an item that we need to remove, maybe put off for another year. Some of these things don't need to be done right away. Some of these projects that come through capital expenses or to perform and get done don't necessarily have an immediate timeline. So we can extend some things and take a break. Lastly, I want to get our town council decision-making back in balance. Like I said earlier, we're not in balance. There's a lot of people on the council that think the same way. And I have an old Mainer friend, if you have 7 people and they all think alike, 6 of them are not necessary. So I'm not saying that in a negative, argumentative way. I'm just saying we need to have a nice, rigorous debate. We need to look at things consistently. We need to look at things and have an open dialogue, a transparent discussion. Is it good for the town? And we need to welcome in the taxpayer and the residents to make this place feel comfortable for them to address their concerns. And interestingly enough, we were asked one of the other questions that the League of Women Voters and the library said, how could you strengthen communication to inform Brunswick residents about town issues and to encourage citizen engagement? Obviously, that's an interesting question in light of what happened with the tax assessment. It seemed to come on the tails of a 7.5% tax increase. We all received a letter that Saturday morning informing us of what was going on, and it was quite a shock. And that drove to the meetings, several hundred people, as I said, showing up and us saying no. Currently, the town council is not very approachable. Believe me, I've been there. I don't like getting up at the podium. I'm not a fan, but at the same time, I think certain things need to be said. But to stand at the podium in front of 9, 10, 11 people and a microphone and somebody with a time and a card and you have so many minutes, speak into the microphone because you're on Zoom and TV3, pretty intimidating environment. And if you don't like public speaking, it's even more intimidating. I'd like to propose that we have a Q&A session. How about an exchange and a dialogue? May not be in accordance with Robert rules, but we need to listen to the taxpayer because some of the folks who have made the problem should not be the ones that are coming up with the solution. We need to be listening to the residents and some of the ideas that they have. But coming to the town council is intimidating. We need to look at that. I think that would enhance communications. It would also instill a little bit more trust. I think we have some trust issues with the town council. A lot of people come and talk, but the sentiment is, I'll say something and nobody will hear it. I've been there. I've stood up at the podium and I get the 9, 10, 11 stoic stares looking at me, not saying a thing, no facial expression, no smile, no frown. So I think we can do a lot to enhance the communications. But more importantly, one thing I want to do as a town council member is I want to meet people where they're at. Whether it's at a sports field or use some of our properties that are owned by the town, the fire stations. Hey, let's meet with Chris and a couple other town councilors. Let's have a discussion. I'd be happy to rent out Portland Pie or another area restaurant and have people in that area come and talk and chat. Meet people and meet residents where you're at. Maybe at a sports field, a ball game or a basketball game. I know that's not time for politics, but it's time to hear concerns and be approachable. The other area I believe we can improve our messaging and our communications through social media. There's great opportunities to have live Zoom or use Signal in some fashion. I'm not a technology guy, but I've seen it done. And I think we can have a non-intimidating opportunity. I'll be happy to give people my cell phone. I want to be available and approachable. And during one of the meetings, one of the counselors asked people for what are opportunities to improve our messaging. And resident Debbie Bridges, I know her well, she came forth with talking about electronic kiosks. Use our bulletin boards. Is there ways that we can get our messaging out? Because everybody does not have a device in their hand. Although I think I see it when we're driving. But some of our elderly, some of our other folks are not running around with a device in their hand or going home to computers. They may be at Shaw's or Hannaford or another local store, and to communicate that way what's happening with the town. Electronic kiosks. We raise them for voting days, but there could be other messaging that happens. And Debbie Bridges brought up some great ideas, and I'd like to pursue those further. In short, I want to be available. In short, I think that's what every town council member ought to be. During one meeting, and I've been to a lot of the town council meetings to try to understand the vibe of our town, what's going on, to have an understanding. And one of the members of the council said, I think we need to hire a public relations person so we can communicate with the residents. And I was really upset by that comment because that's what our role is in each of the districts, is to represent that district, to be available for communication, not to be filtered through, not to be unapproachable. We should all be very approachable to the residents and folks here in our town. In closing, one of the last questions, and I thought it was quite interesting, is what would be my budget priorities for Brunswick and how would I fund them? Well, the budget priority for Brunswick is not to spend any more money. Our budget priority is to reduce the overall budget, so therefore reducing taxes on the residents. So I'm not looking to fund additional things. I'm looking to live within our means and actually pass on a tax rebate, a reduction in our $92 million annual budget, to look at our school system, to understand what things can be done. Just like my home budget. Every year, especially in difficult times, certain things get subscriptions or going to movies or eating out. Some of those things are the first to go because they're not necessities. I need to pay my electric, I need to pay my mortgage, I need to pay my taxes. I need to make sure there's food, right? I need to make sure my children are safe and cared for. All the extras need to go away, especially in a difficult time in the economy that we're in right now. It's a difficult time. Same principle here with the town. I don't think we need sidewalks right now. I understand there's a safety concern and we can work through that. And I think there are some other line items that we can look at clearly and succinctly and make adjustments or even eliminate them altogether. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about Chris Teel and my thoughts, my ideas, what I'd like to bring to the town council. It's interesting because I have a different view. It's a little more about common sense, and it's a little more not agenda driven, and I'm not falling in suit with the other 7 or 8 people. While I may like them personally or get to know them if I'm successful, we need to make the right vote. We need to make the right decision for what's going on for the town. Doesn't mean I don't like you, but it's all in principle. It's what's best for the town, not individually. So some of our challenges going forward are to stop the out-of-control taxes, the excessive budget, and our spending habits. And there may be some other opportunities in terms of what we can do to help that. As I get involved and as I see more of the ledgers and understand the ins and outs of money and expenditures, we can understand what to do and ask hard questions, why, and is that the right thing to do right now? So thank you for listening. I want to restore confidence in the town council. I want to be available and approachable for you, the residents, for me as a resident, and me as a taxpayer. I want to stay here. I want my family to be here. I want my young daughters and my grandchildren to grow up here in our town. I want it to be affordable. New families that we want to come into the town can't come into the town because of the high price, the unaffordable town. And our seniors and our elderly should not be forced to leave and make that hard decision to sell a property after many generations of ownership. That's fundamentally wrong, and I believe that lands on the town council and the leadership within the town and needing to make the right decisions. So I think this is my third close, but I just wanted to spend some time. We didn't get to share time together the other night at the library, and I hope this gives a little glimpse into Chris Teel and what I'd like to do as a town council member here in Brunswick. Thank you, and have a great day.